There's a million reasons why that networking event just feels inconvenient. And I want to help encourage you today that that networking event that feels inconvenient is actually vital for your own development and for your own business or product. I am a chief of operations for an international nonprofit. And these are some of the things that I've experienced time and time again. My position requires a lot of people interfacing. Yes, I manage teams. Yes, I manage processes and budgets and I build strategies. But a lot of what I do in my position requires these networking events. And like I said, there's a million reasons why tonight I'm going to an event myself, why tonight would feel inconvenient. I was up late with the baby. I didn't get my favorite suit press. I didn't get that haircut in time. I've got Q1 and Q2 of 2025 ruminating in my brain. I've got so many other things that I'm thinking through. It's the holidays. I want to be relaxed. I woke up feeling groggy. And yet, if I miss tonight, I have no idea what opportunity I could be missing out on. So I want to share with you a very raw and very unscripted approach to the power of networking and why so many of us just suck at it. So, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. Let's just get into it. When it comes to networking, there's a few things that I really like to keep in mind as I'm approaching the event. Number one is yes, you should have an elevator pitch. If you are in the product world, especially, it's very important to be able to communicate what your product is, what problem it solves, and how the person that you're speaking to could be one of the beneficiaries of your product. You should be able to communicate that in a very short amount of time, and it should feel natural and authentic, right? If it feels robotic, it feels like you're just trying to pitch me something. But if you can relate, if you can make the person hearing your pitch feel involved, that's going to go a long way. You should absolutely have an elevator pitch in your pocket. One thing that I don't hear spoken about enough is actually, in addition to your pitch, is having stories. Nights like tonight, I'm going to like a gala type event. It's the end of the year holiday gala. A lot of important people are going to be there representing businesses, representing donors, representing companies. Everyone is coming with an agenda. Whether we say that or not, we're all coming with an agenda. And we all have the same set of rules we're playing by. Have a pitch, have a story, make sure you mingle, make sure you look happy and approachable. However, if you are coming into an event and you don't have stories in addition to your pitch, I think that you actually might miss out on some very important relationships. Let me explain what that means. What I like to do in addition to my pitch is have some stories that can help break down the walls of those who aren't quite ready to hear the pitch yet. People come into tonight with a million things of their own on their brain and their own fatigues and their own worries. So if I can sense in somebody that they're not ready to hear a pitch, or in my case, hear the mission that I'm representing and why we need funding to accomplish XYZ, maybe I don't give them a pitch at all. Instead, I make them feel heard and seen, and I give them a story that maybe makes them laugh or maybe inspires them or leaves them wanting to know more, that maybe leads to a lunch later in the week. And at that point, maybe they're more rested, maybe they feel more present with themselves, and then they're ready to hear a pitch. Don't put pressure on yourself to deliver all of your information to somebody that you're just meeting for the first time in one go. The power of networking really comes in multiple touches, building relationships. Now, I mentioned emotional presence, so I want to speak to that specifically. People can feel when you are just engaging with them to sell something to them. It comes off in your body language. It comes off in the way that maybe when they're speaking to you and you do this, you go from looking in their eyes to looking past them because you're not actually paying attention. The power of eye contact goes a very long way. Not in a freaky way. Don't just like stare at them, right? But in, show that you're actively listening. Repeat back to them and paraphrase what you're hearing from them so that they know that you're listening. Empathize with struggles, depending on what they're sharing. It goes a long way. Now, when you do that, people can also sense when that is inauthentic. If you do active listening just to get somebody to a point where they can hear your story or your pitch, it feels slimy. And this has happened many times. I actually have a guy, he calls me every year, the same time every single year to give me his pitch. And I know I'm on his list of roster. He wants me involved in his business. And it, he does a good job about warming me up, asks about my family, asks about my own business endeavors. He asks all the right questions. But the length of time that he spends on each question, I can tell he's reading a sheet. Even though the questions are the right questions, you should be asking about family, about Billy's young kid. You should be asking those questions, but ask them because you actually care. And I promise you, if you go into an event, like a networking event, and you are actually caring about what the people are sharing, one, you're going to learn something because we always have something we can be learning. But two, it keeps you human. It keeps you humble. I cannot express to you enough the need for more humble leaders, business owners, product owners. We need more of that. There's so many leaders caught up in materialism, so many leaders caught up in taking advantage of their employees, which is a whole other video. But people can feel when you are inauthentic. People can feel when you're just using them. Be Break out of that mold. Actually listen to somebody's story because you actually care, and it will do something in your own heart as well as making the other person feel that they are being heard, which again can lead to that very important follow-up meeting, that follow-up lunch later in the week where you get to have more meaningful connections. So I really want to drive that in. Active listening, but not from a manipulative way. People can feel that. And it just feels slimy. Like I said, I get that every year. That same guy calls me, bless his heart. I know he believes in his product. And honestly, he'd go so much further if he called to check in and didn't mention his product once. Call me and just talk. Just talk. Ask about what's going on in my life, without you having to insert your product every year and in the same order. It would actually go a long way. Now, as an introvert, right, it can be very draining to go to these events. So one thing that I love to do to help break me out of my shell is laugh. I think that getting a good belly laugh before the event goes a long way for me. And I actually recommend you do this as well. One, it breaks you out. It allows you to be a little bit more relaxed. I never drink at events or my personal life. I like to be completely sober minded. I like to be focused. So for me to induce the carefree effects that a lot of people can get from alcohol, I like to belly laugh. I like to watch funny videos as I'm driving or as I'm riding up to an event. I like to listen to funny stories online. This helps get me in a mindset of being approachable. I see so many guys who come to these events and they listen to these business gurus about being serious and stoic. And what ends up happening is you can pick them out. They're in the room. They often smell amazing. They look awesome. And yet they're unapproachable because they're so stoic and such a, I'm going to grind this business deal out. I have the best product, which you probably do have an amazing product. But your business coach or business mentor has got you in a mindset where being so stoic has actually created a barrier from you connecting with other people. A lot of the time when you come into these events, people want to connect. And if you're that guy who's overly serious in the corner thinking that you're going to be approached because you're carrying yourself in a really overly serious way, you might attract a couple people, but you're going to lose out on a lot of people who will read your body language and say, that's not approachable. I'd rather go stand over there with a guy who maybe doesn't have it as nice of a suit, but is making the small group or the people at his table laugh. I want to go see what that's about. That will go so far. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this happen where these stoic guys, they carry themselves in amazing ways. But what ends up happening is that they end up losing out on the relational connections. And it's so important to have a really robust network of people that you're connecting to. It's not just about LinkedIn. It's about real life relationships that can actually help mutually benefit both parties. And if you're overly serious or stoic, you're going to miss out on a lot of relationships. So try to break down your shell and be present with yourself. What are your insecurities coming into the networking event, right? Do you feel like your product isn't going to be taken serious? Do you feel like you're going to be judged because you don't have a $1,000 suit, or maybe you're insecure about your car? Again, all things that I feel like are silly things to even be concerned of, but the insecurities are real, right? Be present with yourself enough to know what your insecurities are and combat them with the fact that everyone in that room also has insecurities, and they're all combating their own inner voice coming into an event. Now, obviously, the more events that you do, the more networking opportunities that you do, those voices and some of those insecurities begin to die down. That just comes with experience. But that doesn't necessarily mean it always goes away. Maybe you inherit other insecurities or things happen in life that humble you. Be present with yourself enough to know the emotions that you're feeling. How am I carrying myself? How am I coming off in this moment? Really analyze yourself. Get a good laugh in. Break that shell, especially if you are an introvert. It's so important to break the shell off of yourself so that you are approachable. And then after the event, go sit on a couch and just sit in your woes as an introvert and go be alone, right? But these networking opportunities, they really have a lot of power if you know how to use them right. Now, there's a lot of other things that I could share about the power of networking. Like I said, it's we've heard this a million times, guys. It's not about where you go, it's about who you know, right? It's about who you're connected with. Um, but there's a million other things we could talk about, and I hope that these few nuggets I've shared today are beneficial to you. If you're interested in learning more of these just raw, real life tips and tricks that I use as a C-suite, someone with over 10 years of business experience, feel free to check out the resources in the description below. You can join my community, my Discord. Feel free to message me. I love helping other people and their businesses. It's a passion of mine, and I believe that doing it in a raw and vulnerable way. I could get on these videos and be wearing a really nice suit and have an amazing backdrop, but that doesn't feel relatable. And I really want people to feel like the business advice that they're getting is real. It's relatable. So that's my whole brand is really feeling approachable and relatable, because there's so many walls that we as business owners or C-suite guys can hide behind. And honestly, it's just insecurity. It's a facade. The reality is we have broken moments. We have hard moments behind the $1 million business product. We are humans, and I want to share tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So check out those resources below. Hope you're having a great day. And don't forget, the next networking event you're invited to could literally change your life. Just be authentic, really listen to people, and come in a way that is engaging. All right. I love you guys. Have a great day. And don't forget to go crush it. Until next time, bye bye.